This is really remarkable lecture. I think this is speak for the importance of this section. So first I actually want to apologize a little bit and then maybe talk about why we even have today's this workshop section. And to be honest, actually both Yibin and I, we were really honored and shocked by they actually put this workshop in this auditorium and in such a formal section. So this is actually started with our study section last year and was at UES. And we actually, during our study section, we find out a couple of, or actually numbers of application is actually the scientifically idea is very strong. But however, the applicant seems to be fell short on deliver the idea and writing the proposal. So we thought maybe that's a great idea to have our ideas kind of have an informal workshop. And so the target is early stage career young investigator or just they just starting to write their own grants or senior postdoctoral fellow, and so to give them some ideas of how to write grants. And so this is where it started. But it's fortunate or unfortunate, fortunate for Ed and unfortunate for us, because really relocations and he initially was planning to come, but unfortunately he was not able to make it. So we sort of kind of have to change in the program in the last minutes. And it's really very gracious for Dr. Chen really on the last minute's request, and he really put up this, and we learned a lot on this. So I have to apologize because maybe we did not coordinate that well, so maybe some of my slides a little bit overlap, but that's the part of overlap actually reassuring because this is the first time I see the slides, and Dr. Chen and I, we did not talk at all about what we're going to talk about, and you can see a lot of concepts, notion is identical, and just speak for that's really is what we feel. And because we've been writing grants for a number of years and maybe one time too many, so that's all the similar thing. So for those maybe repeated, I'm going to go through quickly, and first I try to figure out how to use this. So I think for 2 decades being a grant applicant, so my task is actually talk about this in the point of I'm also a grant applicant myself. And I find out writing a scientific proposal, of course, is based on the solid science innovations and based on really great ideas. But it's not just a science alone, I find it's actually art. So why did I say that? So science parts, I think everybody understands. You have to have a strong background of innovations and impactful science and provided by scientific facts, and those facts could be your own data as well as others. But how does art come into here? I think the science part people is pretty easy to understand, so I think everybody know that the art is the hard part, like art it is. So the art is the art of clear communication of your scientific idea. So I think this is the difficult part of how one will really convey your idea on paper, and this is actually the whole point for this workshop. How can we turn our scientific idea in the papers and show it into your reviewer who review your grant, let them know your ideas, your scientific question is important, is significant. And then you put down a nice, well thought out method. So you can do that. And if you encounter any problem, you're able to solve it. And the results obtained, most importantly, it's going to be impactful. It's important. So this is actually the fundamental of the art of a clear articulations about your scientific ideas. Yes. So I think first and most is I think also Dr. Chen has alluded this. So when we come down to writing an application, it's important you have to read the instruction. So in the case, you have to think about, I'm going to submit this grant. First, you have to identify what's the funding agency you're going to go submit your grant to. And in the Taiwan's case, you have you have a most grant, and you also has NHI. In the case, we are talking about more focus about NHI. And I think Dr. Chen has mentioned, it has a nice website, and really, these are all the guideline regulation, and you have to do that. So in the case of your proposal, you're looking at that. If you think it's NHI, they have actually list out their focus area. And then you look, if your scientific proposal, it can fit into one of this, so NHI probably is a proper place for you to submit your grant to. So then you have to really read carefully with all this and really determine the category of grant, and then Dr. Chen also alluded to, it really depends on what stage career you are at, and either CDG or IRG, and they have a set of differences on the really their guidelines, and really have to read very carefully on the guideline, because everything has to be I dotted T close. So it's very, very important you have to read everything. So now, before my task is talking about applicant, but in order to show you how we write as an applicant, I'm going to tell you this is very briefly going through what's the reviewer think. Because you're going to write the grant and the reviewer going to read it, and my colleague Yi-Bin Wang going to talk about more on the reviewer side of points. So of course, I think that this is also Dr. Chen illustrated again and again, it's the novelty of your proposed work. How is that important? Because after all, you are asking a lot of money from the funding agency, so your work has to be innovative, right? So then your hypothesis is that you put together hypothesis sounds, and then is your hypothesis supported by preliminary data, or maybe some of the data showing the literature? And also, do you put a set of specific in which is logical and doable? And is this experimental approach is appropriate and feasible to answer the scientific question you posed? And then of course, your last two parts, it's not only the scientific question, it's you going to be the one lead the team to doing it. So it's investigator qualified. So what I put in here is sometime in the proposal, you actually propose something is outside your immediate area of expertise. So what are you going to do that? You're not going to go back to school to restudy, right? So then you have a collaborator come in play here. So for example, if you are molecular signal in people and then you propose in this work because it's needed, you want to do a metabolomic profiling, then you better seek a collaborator has such expertise, can collaborate with you together. So this is where you have to provide the investigator, and that's what we are looking at, that do you have does your team has a capacity to complete what you propose? Then if you're going to do metabolomic profiling, is your institution has the adequate facility? If you don't, then hopefully your investigator's laboratory or the institution has it. So this is where you can really bring into the play, is you bring into collaborator as well as other institution to provide such a facility. And this all going to be evaluated together to see whether this will be a fundable application. So in fact, as we talking about submitting proposals, and literally is we have to really think ahead of time. And this way is actually begin before you even start writing the proposal. So really begin with, you have to really read the literature. So this is very important. Also can allow you to put a framework of how innovative your work is. Sometimes you are surprised, you think about something very exciting, you go to literature, you go like, someone already done that maybe 20 years ago. So if you look deeper, often you will find that is the case. So then you can recalibrate it and find different things. So you really need to read more literature and really know how to position your work. And I think Dr. Chen also alluded that follow instruction, really follow that religiously. This is very important. And this is also the same thing in the major part is talking about specific background significance. And I'm going to go through that briefly. So how to craft a winning title is very important for a winning proposal. So you think about crafting a title is kind of like, people give birth of child. First thing you name the kid, right? So you're going to name your proposal. So it's not just any name. You want to give a name which provide information of what you're going to do, right? So the title should be informative and should be clear. And you can use it as short as possible but provide sufficient information. And so means you want to concise and then authoritative. And you can provide information. Why is this important? Because your project is going to be assigned to appropriate reviewer. So this will actually helping people assign your project by looking at your title. We don't have to look through everything on your grant. Really can assign them to appropriate reviewer has expertise. So here's the two titles for the example. Do you think which one is a better one? The one both for one, raise a hand. Two. Very good. So the first one is just enough to give you the information. You want to study the G protein signaling, and knowing your organ system is hard, and this is a problem, sympathetic overexcitability. But the second one is could be very, very large, right? G protein signal is overwhelmingly huge, and you can cover in the different area. So this was harder to identify a reviewer immediately. So don't underestimate to name a title. We actually spend quite a lot of time trying to figure out the title. So that's the first thing. So now you got a winning title now. We talk about the specific aim. Specific aim, actually, I think most of our senior or people writing the grant a lot, I think probably Dr. Chen included, we actually spend the most of time to think about specific aim. So specific aim is not just put down to the aim 1, aim 2, aim 3. Actually, in that, it's very important. You saw the kind of miniature of your proposal. So once your specific aim is set, the rest of the proposal actually just goes through. You just fill in all the details. So it's very important in here. This is actually background information. It actually provide the importance, innovations, over significance here. Why you want to do what you're going to propose, right? So then you propose your aim. It's what is proposed. And then you want to have a good approach there to say how you're going to achieve what you propose. And the last part is impact. So this is very important in the specific section. You really need to cover all these parts. And this actually, at least for me and many colleagues I know, they spend the most of the time trying to really frame this specific aim. Once you have this set, the rest of it really follows through. You just fill in the detailed information. So the background significance. This is where you lift all the literature come into place here. So you're able to really describe to the reviewer what has been done in this field. And what you bring in, what's going to be new. So indicates your proposal is really going to fill in the scientific gap, or what you find is already reported, what you find is actually different than what people already reported, so means you challenging the existing dogma. So that's also considered innovation. So those information is how you're going to fill in this background significance. So this really set the framework, how important, how innovation of your proposal is. And then you could talk about the design. Actually, this is the part I maybe want to spend a little bit time. This is where during our review we find out we mostly are paused by some of the scientific questions actually amazing. But when they come down to the experimental research plan, experimental design, we find out people really provide just a method. Despite in the NHI website, if you look carefully, they really tell you the experimental design is not you give me your protocol, how you're going to run RT-PCR, how you're going to do the Western blot. Design is not the method. Design is actually blueprint to bring you from the point A to point B, C, D. So this is an experimental design. And this is a very, very important. If you just throw me a whole bunch of the method, I have no idea what you're going to do. So this is actually a very important point. And so here is a 2 example. The first one, policy designs. We are asking a question. I'm probably interested because we're doing cardiovascular research, so I'm using the heart as an example. So I'm interested in the 2 animal models, and I'm interested to their cardiac function after the injury. So this is my designs. I'm using echocardiography, which in our keynote lecture earlier, just really talking about that amazing advancement. So this is in mouse. I'm going to using echocardiography to measure their cardiac function, Vivo 2100 already been mentioned. So this is a design. But what's the method? It's echocardiography. So here is I will describe how I do the rodent echocardiography here. So you anesthetize animal and so on and so forth. So you can see that there's things different. This is a design. This is a method. So then in this part, you also have to really also discuss what's the caveat. So one here, you including anticipates results. This is also in addition in the design section. That's what we want to see. So you do this, I expect my wild-type animal will do better than my knockout animal for such reason. But if everything is as we predicted, we don't need to do experiments anymore. We can just go ahead and write a paper, right? Because a lot of the time the life throw the curveball at you. You are not necessarily going to see the same thing. So we're going to have to see. So we really need to tell people what are my anticipated results. So what if I did not see what I anticipate? What's the problem? I can interpret that. And is there any of my experimental design or protocol will create potential caveat or affect my interpretation of the data? So you need to tell the reviewer this. And if none of this work, what's my alternative? If echocardiography cannot give me the function I want to see, what other method I have to measure the function? So this is really the design parts we expect as a reviewer, we expect you to write, and as an applicant, we need to write that. And this is just really a list of things we need to do as an applicant. And I think this is also very much coincide with Dr. Chen just mentioned. Follow the guideline. I cannot, stress this anymore. It's really need to follow the guideline, and this is, as a senior, as a Dr. Chen, we all have to follow the guidelines. And we need to cite the references, and really cite thoroughly and properly all the information and data provided. And everything really has to be really, really careful on that, including grammatic error, typo, because you don't want to really annoy the reviewers, so you want to make sure you're really showing you are very careful on everything. So read your proposal before you submit it. So we're talking about the things I think that we should not do and will never do. This is what I already mentioned, and I don't want to talk about this anymore. I think this is a very, very critical part. Plagiarism, fabrication, or falsification, and I think this is a very, very critical. As a scientist, we have a responsibility, and this is not something shouldn't be in our dictionary to do this. So, in particular, we are doing the house, and this is not just, now the Google, everything is very easy to copy, so we need to be very, very careful on that. And I think this is also, Dr. Chen mentioned that, it's extremely important. And Dr. Chen saying that we need to finish our proposal 1 month ahead. And I'm the one first guilty, because a lot of time we actually finish our proposal only a few days before submission. And this is not the way to practice that. Really need the time, because you have to finish writing and then you think again and read again. This is very important. And this way also allow you to have your colleague, good friends, to help you to read that. Because we all bias on our own work. We thought we clearly articulate what we want to deliver. But however, your good friend and colleague that reads it, they will tell you, I have no idea what you try to do. And then if you 1 month ahead, you have time to fix this. So for your own mock peer review group, find a good colleague and friend who you trust and can do this, and I really practice this religiously. And over the year, I have a good colleague. We will review each other's grants and ahead of time. And I think I find that is very, very helpful. And so I'm very much encouraged that. I think this really will help me go through the hump. So with this, I think, to have a scientific research proposal, it requires not only innovation, scientific idea, question, but also it's really very careful execution. It's everything, like I say, I got it, T close. And I'm going to leave you with this from Pele. I think many people know him. Is actually in this generation a very famous soccer player in Brazil. Success is really no accident. It's hard work, like this 4 little ants here. And perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, I think that's a really important one. We have the love of what we are doing every day, and then learning what we are doing that. So with this, I wish all of us and all of you the good luck and to reach the success you want to reach. And happy to answer any question later. I think I only have a 17 seconds.
Under the lead of Professor Chen, I think Long Liao have given a very comprehensive review of how to prepare and submit a good proposal. I think the next one we invited Professor Yibing Wang. He is coming from U.S.A. and actually he and Rory and me has a discussion and prepare for this workshop.